Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and today we are going to continue our playthrough of Phantasmagoria. And as you can see here, we are beginning Chapter 4. Now Chapter 4 is, in my opinion, the turning point, where we really start to gain a lot of insight into what happened in the past with Carno and his wives.
Leave me alone.
We do start to gain a tiny bit of knowledge into why Don is behaving the way he is, but not nearly enough to make any solid conclusions. Now I'm a bit frustrated because I actually had about 25 minutes worth of footage recorded, and then it started to wonk out. I couldn't move the mouse on the screen. I could only move it left and right. I couldn't move it up and down, so I couldn't pull up the menu or anything. I was really frustrated, and I couldn't find a keystroke that brought up the menu, and I thought it was just escape, but apparently it's not. But in any event, I will make sure that I save before I do that again, that's for sure, because I don't want to waste my time again. My time is not necessarily all that precious because I'm off for the rest of this week, but it's frustrating when that happens nonetheless. So yeah, so it is the 22nd of July. It is 6:10 p.m. and I hope everybody's having a wonderful night. I originally didn't realize that I had uploaded everything I had, so I needed to record some footage. I think I actually do have some Resident Evil that needs to be uploaded, but Phantasmagoria, I had nothing, so I gotta record it. Had I known that, I would have done it a little bit earlier today, instead of waiting until I'm exhausted. Look at this guy. Look at this demon. He's going crazy. He's possessed by something that knows no bounds. Thank God. Well, he's done already? That didn't take very long. She got the shit humped out of her. I don't know why she's so upset. It wasn't all that bad. And it actually sounds like she's laughing at him instead of crying. Well, maybe now it sounds a little bit more like crying. He's like, no! How can you laugh at me? It's like, that's it. I'm leaving. You'd think you'd know that your husband was like that before you married him. Speaking of which, it seems to me that they don't even sleep in the same room. Now I realize that things were different back then with video games. This game caught a lot of flack for that scene right there, and it's nothing more than a bunch of humping. And by today's standards, you see that on primetime television now, so it's not a big deal, but back then, it was a pretty big deal to show something like that. But nowadays, forget it. Daytime television right there. So it is a new day, which means that our puzzles have updated, and we should be taking a look at them. And you can see here, this painting has an interesting consistency to it, or shape. Consistency, it's paint. So you can see here there is some bushy eyebrows, an eye, a socket, nose, mouth, and the shadowing. At least that's what it looks like to me. And my assumption here would be she touches it because she realizes that the paint is still wet, which would mean that it just recently changed. Although that's not necessarily true. Depending on what type of paint it was used, it may actually take weeks to dry. Certain oil-based paints are very wet and take a long time to dry, but I digress because that's not necessarily important. One thing I did forget in the previous video, which I can't believe I forgot it. Looking back, I'm like, oh my god, how did I not do that? was to look out the window inside the dungeon up here. I call it a dungeon because that's what it reminds me of. And when you look at the dungeon, you notice that there is a building back there. It looks like it could sort of be a gazebo, but it's actually a greenhouse, which makes sense. Kind of push that back into the woods there. But we'll get to that in a bit. We actually want to explore for quite a while before we would get back there. We want to go to town first because there's some very interesting backstory elements there that I want to get out of the way before we start learning anything new. So let's head into Zoltan's room. And you can see here that some item just mysteriously materialized on the dresser over there. So let's go take a look at the sparkly sparkle. I am Zoltan. Not really. And let's do what we want to do. And as is always the case with most of these games, you touch a certain object and a sequence happens. In this case, it's an audio sequence.
I found this in your room. Where did you get it?
In her womb?
Why, Zoltan, what do you mean?
You know exactly what I mean. Gaston gave it to you, didn't he?
No, I bought it when we were in London last month.
I'm not a fool, Marie. I've been watching. When he looks at you, you smile and blush. And he's always hovering around you backstage.
But you're wrong, Zoltan. He's just a friend, that's all.
I don't want him here tomorrow night.
But he's your prop man. He has a right to be at your party. Please, don't accuse me of this. Believe me, Zoltan. I love you. Only you.
I want to believe you. I do.
But I'm not, because I'm me. Now, Maria was his 5th wife. I don't remember what the second wife's name was. Now, if you notice, she doesn't have the locket anymore. There was a sleight of hand that took place there, and if you're paying attention enough, you would have seen what she did with it. But it's a little bit tricky there. But let's see what you guys can see. Sounds like the bear went over the mountain, right? But and then reply to it, and we'll see if we can find out what she did with it. I happen to know actually what was done to it, but you know, I'm sure you could wiki it or Google it and it'll tell you at some point how she disposed of it. I believe that's one of his wives. I'm not 100% sure which one. I believe that's the second one. Which I don't know her name, and I can't believe I can't remember. Whoa, freaking gnome.
I forgot all about it. You ready to work? Yeah, ma'am. Tell me what to do.
Well, let's see. Kitchen dishes need washing. Our bed needs to be made. Bathroom needs cleaning. Furniture needs polishing. And this floor needs sweeping.
I'll get right on it. Anything else?
Yeah, you need to change your clothes
I have a
because they
question, Harriet.
stink.
When I was in the tower room, I saw a little building in the woods on the eastern side of the island. Do you know anything about it?
I've never been in those woods. The trail's washed out. Cyrus has, though. Go ask him.
Okay, I will. Thanks.
Anything else?
Yeah, I need to change the clothes. I'm tired of wearing the same ones.
Yeah, one more thing. Could you please empty the wastebasket?
Yep. Anything else? Oh, by the way, I see you carrying around that newspaper. You want me to throw it away for you?
Please, would you?
She wants to take it and use it as a blanket in her wonderful homey home. So let's go talk to a real fortune teller and see what is going on here. Maybe we have a good fortune for once. What the hell happened to the music here? Is it always like that? All slow and crappy? It sounds like it's going like a equivalent of like 1 frame per second. Maybe that's just the doom and gloom version.
Keep your secrets to yourself. Trust no
Well, I don't know that there's anyone worth trusting on this island right now, let me tell you. You got the sleazy lawyer, you got Cyrus, you got Harriet, you got Dawn.